Okay.
There's two interesting findings, but nothing that's an actual mutation. So overall, good news.
Okay.
So one thing that they found is a variant of uncertain significance, and that's in a gene called CHEK2. So it's spelled CHEK, and then the number 2. And with that one, it's when we see actual mutations in that gene, it's a moderate risk gene. So the chance for breast cancer is like 20 to 30%. But with the finding that they have in that gene for you, they have seen it in people that had breast cancer, but they've also kind of equally seen it in people that haven't had cancer.
Oh, okay.
So basically, there's some data that says, yeah, maybe it's related, but the other data says it's probably not related. So we're kind of stuck in the middle there where we just don't have enough either way to tell us what it is.
Does it relate to my sisters in any way?
It's possible that they carry that same change, but since we don't know if it increases cancer risk or not, we don't recommend testing for them.
Okay.
So they would just be screened for, just based on your family history in general, that there's some cancers going on. So they should look into increased screening maybe anyway. But I wouldn't recommend testing for this one for that.
Okay.
And then there's another finding in a gene called NBN. So N like Nancy, B like boy, N like Nancy. And this one's also one of those moderate risk genes. So the finding that they have in yours is actually a little bit complex. So I will try my best to explain it. So in relation to breast cancer, they think it's not increasing risk at all. However, if someone carries 2 mutations in this gene, so one from each parent, it can cause a different syndrome for children. So I'm not worried about that in your family because we don't have any children affected with this. It's a pretty severe condition with they don't grow very well. They have very small skulls. They have increased risk for certain cancers. So we don't really see children with that in your family, but it is something that sometimes they recommend telling the family about, just so if people are thinking about having children, their partners could be tested too, so that they know what their reproductive risks are. So as far as cancer risk, it's not associated with that, but this other kind of super rare syndrome, it can increase that risk.
Okay.
So for you, I would say overall this is very comprehensive testing, so we still don't have our answer for what's going on in your family, unfortunately. But we're not really thinking about changing anyone's management that much. So I would not recommend additional testing in the family, except for people thinking about having their own kids. And I would just say check in with me every few years to see if we have any other updates on either of these changes.
Okay, and how do I do that? What would the number be?
You can just either ask your doctor or you can give a call to my office.
And your number is?
630-933-6249.
So when you say every few years, do you think?
Yeah, like every year or two is probably fine. Sometimes the lab will give me a new report on their own, so I would reach out to you then, but just in case, that's always good to check in.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions? I know these results are kind of complex.
There's probably nothing that talks about why somebody wouldn't have smell.
No, nothing like that. Sometimes there are different syndromes that can cause that, but nothing on here would have brought that back.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just kind of a strange thing.
Well, just for your information, I had 2 doctors that were knowledgeable about it. One of them had the same problem, I think.
Oh.
And their theory was all they could find was that their mother was sick when they were carrying them, and my mom did have a really bad cold, and my dad had chicken pox.
Yeah.
And then,
affected it. Huh.
and the other thing is I never got chicken pox, even though I was babysitting kids that had it.
Oh.
And then I took a titer to see if I was immune, and I was immune to chicken pox.
Oh, that's interesting.
So do you have an idea, if the titer said I was immune to chicken pox, does that mean I have more of a chance to have shingles?
I'm not entirely sure how that works, because usually you have to have the actual virus. So having the titer that says you're immune to it usually means that you already had a reaction to it, that generally you would have chickenpox then. So I'm not sure about that's probably a better question to ask like your general doctor.
Because I wondered since I was in the womb.
Yeah,
And
if it was.
my sisters had it and my dad, I believe.
Yeah, I am not sure about that. That's really interesting, though.
Yeah.
Usually, though, you actually have to like fight off, like build a response to the virus, like be infected by it in order to have that. So I'm not quite sure.
But couldn't I have been infected by it in the womb?
Potentially, usually you would see some kind of symptoms, though, like when you were born. So hard to say. Most likely you were exposed to it if you were immune to it. So it's possible, but I'm really not sure.
Okay.
I will send you a copy of these results in the mail, so if you look over them and have questions and want to come back in or just talk to me more about it, that's totally fine. Just let me know. But otherwise, I think we're all set from genetics.
Okay, and what's your name again? I'll write that down.
Cory, C-O-R-Y.
Okay.
And my last name is Moser, M-O-S-E-R.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.